Put that box down. I'm her POA. She's confused. Officer, she's trying to set me up.
The doorbell rang upstairs while I sat locked in my own basement. I could hear my daughter-in-law's footsteps crossing the floor above me, the steady tread of her shoes on the hardwood. Then voices, hers, bright and apologetic, and a man's voice I didn't recognize, professional, careful. Mrs. Patterson, I'm from the Internal Revenue Service. We sent several notices to this address regarding unpaid federal taxes. Is she available? My hands tightened around the envelope I'd been holding. Final notice of intent to levy, the date stamped in red, 43 days ago. My name, my social security number, $97,000 in back taxes I knew nothing about. Oh, she's resting, my daughter-in-law said above me. She's not well. Can I help you with something? I stood and moved toward the basement stairs. The door at the top was locked. I'd heard the deadbolt slide into place 6 hours earlier, right after she'd said, "It's raining, Mom. The steps are wet. You could fall. Just stay downstairs tonight where it's safe." Safe. I looked back at the cardboard box I'd found behind the water heater. 23 unopened envelopes from the IRS, all addressed to me, all hidden in a box labeled Old Bill's Shred. She'd been stealing my mail for 3 years. She had my keys. She had my mail. She had everything. If you've ever been made to feel confused in your own home, like you're losing track of things that used to be simple, you're not alone. Stay with me. But before I continue, make sure you are subscribed to my channel and write in the comments where are you watching this video from. We love knowing how far our stories are traveling. I hadn't always been locked in basements. 3 years ago, I was a different person. I had routines. I had keys. I had my own mail. My husband died on a Tuesday in March. 61 years together, and then he was gone. The funeral was small. Our son flew in from Denver with his wife, my daughter-in-law Jessica. They stayed through the weekend, helped me sort through paperwork, made casseroles I didn't eat. On Sunday night, as they were packing to leave, Jessica put her hand on mine across the kitchen table. "Mom, you shouldn't be alone right now. What if something happens? What if you fall?" I told her I'd been managing this house for 40 years. I knew every creaking board, every light switch. "But you're 74 now," she said. "Things change." My son nodded. He looked tired. He looked like he wanted this conversation to be over. "We could stay a few weeks," Jessica continued. "Just until you're steadier. We can work remotely." At first, I thought she was just being kind. They moved into the guest room. Jessica took over the bills. "Just temporarily, Mom. You have enough to worry about." She offered to collect the mail each day since the box was at the end of the driveway, and the March ice made walking treacherous. She drove me to doctor's appointments, managed my prescriptions, set up a pill organizer with little compartments for morning and night. "See? Easier this way," she said. I signed a form she brought home one afternoon. Power of attorney, she explained, just for medical decisions, just in case I was ever in the hospital and couldn't speak for myself. It's what everyone does after losing a spouse. Standard stuff. The signature felt wrong, but I signed anyway. The weeks became months. My son flew back to Denver for work, but came home every other weekend. Jessica stayed. She'd set up a home office in the spare bedroom, took calls behind the closed door, ordered groceries online. She was always busy, always helpful. But I started noticing things. The mail stopped arriving. Not gradually, just stopped. I'd check the box on my way back from walking the neighborhood, and it was always empty. When I asked Jessica about it, she'd smile and say, "I already grabbed it, Mom. Just junk mail and flyers. Nothing important." But there was always something important. A bank statement, a property tax notice, a letter from my insurance company. "Where's my bank statement?" I asked one morning in July. I filed it, she said. Do you want me to pull it out? I'd like to see it. She brought it to me an hour later, but something felt off. The account balance was lower than I remembered. When I asked about the difference, she said I'd probably forgotten about automatic payments. You set those up years ago, Mom. Utilities, insurance, the usual stuff. I couldn't argue. I didn't remember. By September, I realized I hadn't seen a piece of mail in 6 months. Not a single envelope, no catalogs, no coupon mailers, nothing. Jessica, I think there's a problem with our mail delivery. I'll call the post office, she said. She never did. Or if she did, she never told me what they said. The locks changed in October. I came home from a dentist appointment, Jessica driving as always, and my house key didn't work. I stood on my own porch, trying to fit the key into a lock that no longer recognized it. Oh, I forgot to mention, Jessica said, pulling a new key from her purse. The locksmith came yesterday. The old deadbolt was sticking. This one's better, safer. She handed me one key, just one. I have the spare, she said. I asked why she hadn't told me. I didn't want to worry you. You have enough on your mind. That's when the phrase started. You have enough on your mind. She said it every time I asked a question, every time I wanted to see a document, every time I tried to make a decision about my own life. By winter, I'd stopped asking. I stopped checking the mailbox because it was always empty. I stopped asking about bills because she always said they were handled. I stopped trying to manage my own bank account because every time I brought it up, Jessica would sigh and say, Mom, we've been over this. Everything's automatic. You don't need to worry. But I did worry. I worried when my neighbor, Helen Chen, stopped by one afternoon in January and asked if I was okay. I haven't seen you out walking in months, she said, and I saw your daughter-in-law taking your mail the other day. Does she live here now? She's helping me, I said. Helen frowned. She looked like she was in a hurry. She took a stack of envelopes and drove off. I didn't know what to say. When I asked Jessica about it later, she laughed. Helen's a busybody. I was running errands. I grabbed the mail on my way out. What's the big deal? The big deal was I hadn't seen that mail. I started paying attention. Small things. The way Jessica sorted through papers at the kitchen table late at night when she thought I was asleep. The way she redirected conversations whenever I mentioned money or bills or legal documents. The way she answered the phone before I could reach it, saying, she's resting. Even when I was sitting 3 feet away, fully awake, I became a guest in my own house. I couldn't have friends over without Jessica hovering, offering tea, steering the conversation. I couldn't make a doctor's appointment without her insisting she'd handle it. I couldn't go to the bank without her driving me, walking me inside, standing at the counter while I tried to ask the teller a question. She gets confused, Jessica would whisper to the teller, as if I couldn't hear her. I'm managing her accounts now, power of attorney. I wasn't confused. I was being erased. But I didn't know how to fight it. Every time I tried to assert myself, Jessica would tilt her head with that concerned expression and say, Mom, you're not yourself lately. Maybe we should talk to your doctor about your memory. My memory was fine, but after a while, I started to doubt even that. By the time the rain started that April night, I'd stopped questioning her. I'd stopped checking the mail. I'd stopped asking to see documents. I'd learned that resistance only brought more concern, more hovering, more suggestions that maybe I needed extra support. So when she said the basement steps were too slippery, when she said I should stay downstairs where it was safe, and when I heard the deadbolt slide into place above me, I stopped seeing my own mail 6 months ago. I didn't argue when Jessica said the basement steps were too slippery that night. The rain had been coming down hard since afternoon, drumming against the windows. She stood at the top of the basement stairs with a load of laundry, looking down at me with that concerned expression. Mom, the steps are wet. You know how dangerous that is at your age. Why don't you just stay down here for a bit? I'll bring you some tea. I was already halfway down, carrying a box of old photo albums. Something to make me feel useful in my own house. I'll be careful, I said. I'd feel better if you just waited, just until the steps dry. She brought the tea, Earl Grey in my favorite mug. Then she went back upstairs, and I heard the deadbolt slide into place. The lock clicked. I was alone with 20 years of paperwork. I stood there for a moment, staring at the closed door. Testing it seemed paranoid, but I climbed the stairs anyway and tried the handle. Locked. I knocked. Jessica? No answer. I could hear her moving around. The television came on in the living room. I knocked harder. Jessica, the door's locked. I know, Mom. Her voice came through clearly. It's for your safety. You've been so unsteady lately. Just relax down there. I'll come get you when the steps are dry. Unsteady. Wandering. Words that made me sound like I needed a keeper. The basement was cold, damp. I pulled an old cardigan from the storage shelf. The washing machine hummed. The rain pounded above me. And I started noticing the boxes stacked behind the water heater. Most had my old labels. Tax returns 2010 to 2015. Medical records. But one was different. Newer cardboard, fresh packing tape, marker writing that wasn't mine. Old bills, shred. Jessica's handwriting. I pulled it down and opened it. Inside were envelopes, dozens of them, all addressed to me, Mrs. Eleanor Patterson. My social security number visible through the cellophane windows. Internal Revenue Service, Department of the Treasury. I opened the first one with shaking hands. Notice of intent to levy. We have not received payment for your outstanding tax liability. Amount due, $42,388. Another envelope. Final notice before levy. Outstanding balance of $31,204 for tax year 2022. Another. Second notice of tax due. $31,204 for unpaid federal income taxes. I kept opening them. November, October, September, August. Some thin, some thick packets with forms inside. Instructions for appeals, hearings, financial hardship. Every envelope had my name. None had been opened by me. The oldest was dated 3 years ago, April 2021, 1 month after my husband died. A simple examination notice. I counted them. 23 envelopes, 3 years of IRS correspondence, hidden in a box labeled for shredding. The amounts built on each other. Initial tax, penalties, interest. By the most recent notice, 43 days ago, the total had reached $97,000. I read through them again. That's when I found it. At the bottom of one notice from 8 months ago. We have updated your address of record based on your request dated June 15th, 2023. I never requested an address change, but according to this, my IRS mailing address had been changed to P.O. Box 3847 Riverside Station. I'd never rented a P.O. box in my life. Someone had filed a change of address form. Someone had been intercepting my mail at that box for 3 years. Jessica. The washing machine beeped. Above me, I could still hear the television. Still hear her moving around my kitchen. And then I heard something else. The doorbell. Footsteps crossed the floor above me. The front door opened. I heard Jessica's voice, bright and apologetic, the way she sounded when performing for strangers. Can I help you? A man's voice, professional, measured. Good evening, ma'am. I'm Revenue Officer Mark Stevens with the Internal Revenue Service. I'm here regarding unpaid federal taxes for Eleanor Patterson at this address. We've sent multiple notices without response. I'm conducting a field visit. Is Mrs. Patterson available? My heart stopped. Oh, Jessica's voice shifted, still pleasant, but with an edge now. She's my mother-in-law. She's not feeling well. She's resting. Can I help you with something? Ma'am, I need to speak with Mrs. Patterson directly. It's regarding a significant tax liability. $97,000 in unpaid taxes, penalties, and interest. We've exhausted our attempts to reach her by mail. The account shows no response to notices sent over the past 3 years. 97,000? Jessica's voice rose slightly, surprised, but not surprised enough. That can't be right. I handle her finances. I would know if there was. According to our records, ma'am, 23 certified notices have been sent to this address. Is there a reason Mrs. Patterson hasn't responded? I stood up, climbed the basement stairs, put my hand on the locked door. They were talking about me, about my money, about my taxes, and I couldn't reach them. She gets confused, Jessica was saying. Early stages, we think. I have power of attorney. I manage everything for her now. I can provide documentation if you... I pounded on the door. 3 hard knocks that echoed through the house. Silence upstairs. Then Jessica's voice, quieter now. That's her. She gets agitated sometimes, wanders. I had to lock the basement door for her own safety. She was trying to do laundry and nearly fell on the wet steps. I was just about to check on her. Ma'am. The officer's voice was careful. Your mother-in-law is locked in the basement? For her safety, just temporarily, until the steps dried. I pounded again, harder. I'm here. I'm down here. I need to talk to you. More silence. Then the officer's voice, closer now, like he'd moved toward the basement door. Mrs. Patterson, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I'm locked down here. I'm going to need you to unlock this door, ma'am. He was speaking to Jessica now. The tone had shifted. Less professional courtesy, more authority. Right now, please. Of course, of course. Let me find the key. It's here somewhere. I heard her footsteps, the jangle of keys on a ring, the deadbolt sliding back. The door opened. Jessica stood there with a concerned smile frozen on her face. Behind her stood a man in a dark suit, leather briefcase in hand. He looked past Jessica, directly at me. Mrs. Patterson? Yes. I'm Officer Stevens from the IRS. I need to speak with you about your tax account. Are you able to come upstairs? I looked at Jessica. She was still smiling, but her eyes were sharp, warning me, daring me. I picked up the heavy box of letters from the workbench behind me and carried it up the stairs. I could hear them talking about me. I couldn't reach them. Officer Stevens set his briefcase on my dining room table. Jessica started to sit down, but he held up one hand. Ma'am, I need to speak with Mrs. Patterson privately. I'm her power of attorney. Mrs. Patterson appears capable of speaking for herself. He looked at me. Are you willing to discuss this alone? Yes, I said. Jessica stood there, then left. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. A door closed, but I knew she was listening. Officer Stevens opened his folder. Mrs. Patterson, your tax account shows $97,000 in outstanding liabilities. We've sent 23 notices. Why haven't you responded? I set the cardboard box on the table. I never received them. I found these tonight in my basement, hidden. He examined the envelopes, checked postmarks, notice numbers, dates, made notes. All unopened, he said. I've never seen them before tonight, but sent to this address. Someone changed my mailing address without my knowledge. Look at the September notice. He found it, read the address change line. You didn't authorize a P.O. box? I don't have a P.O. box. I've lived here 40 years. Who has access to your mail? The truth felt dangerous, but I thought about the locked door. 3 years of missing mail, $97,000. My daughter-in-law handles my mail, I said, since my husband died. He wrote something. The woman who answered the door. Yes. Who said you were locked in the basement for your safety? Yes. He closed his folder. This raises questions beyond tax liability. I'm required to report certain things. Do you feel safe in this house? I'd been asking myself that for months. I don't know, I said. He wrote on the back of his business card. Call this number tomorrow. I'm putting a 60-day hold on collection while we investigate. But you need independent legal advice, not from someone with power of attorney over your finances. Understand? Yes. Do you have someone you can call? I thought about Helen Chen, about Mr. Pemberton, my estate attorney, about the lockbox in my closet. I have people I can call. Keep these letters safe. They're evidence. After he left, I sat at the dining room table with the box of envelopes. Jessica was upstairs, pacing, waiting. I had all night. I started taking notes. I found a legal pad in the kitchen drawer and began writing everything I could remember. Dates, events, patterns. March 2021. Husband died. Jessica moved in. April 2021. First IRS notice sent. June 2021. Signed power of attorney. September 2021. Mail stopped appearing. October 2021. Locks changed. January 2022. Helen saw Jessica taking mail. June 2023. IRS address change filed. April 2024. Locked in basement. The pattern was clear. Every step deliberate. Every month more control. But there were witnesses. Helen Chen had seen Jessica taking my mail. The bank teller had seen Jessica managing my accounts. Mr. Pemberton had the original POA document. The IRS officer had seen the locked door. And I had the letters. 23 pieces of proof. I made another list. People to call. Mr. Pemberton, verify the POA. Helen Chen, witness statement. My bank, account activity records. IRS, copies of forms filed in my name. Tax attorney, independent help. Adult protective services, maybe. The list felt overwhelming, but it also felt like control. For the first time in 3 years, I had a plan that was mine. I looked at the legal pad covered in my handwriting, not hers, and felt something shift inside me. I'd spent 3 years being told I was confused, forgetting things, that I couldn't be trusted to manage my own life. But I'd just spent 2 hours reconstructing a timeline, identifying witnesses, documenting evidence, planning a legal strategy. My memory was fine, my judgment was fine. What wasn't fine was living with someone who benefited from making me believe otherwise. I heard Jessica's footsteps on the stairs. She appeared in the doorway of the dining room, still wearing that concerned expression. Mom, it's almost midnight. You should get some rest. That must have been so stressful for you. I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman who'd locked me in a basement and told a federal officer it was for my safety, the woman who'd hidden 3 years of tax notices in a box labeled for shredding, the woman who'd stolen my mail, changed my locks, and made me feel crazy for noticing. I'm going to stay up a while longer, I said. I have some things to organize. What things? I closed the legal pad so she couldn't see my notes. Personal things? She took a step into the room. Mom, I know tonight was confusing. That man from the IRS, he didn't understand the situation. You haven't been managing your taxes properly, and that's why there's this mess. But don't worry, I'll take care of it. I always take care of everything. No, I said quietly. You won't. Her expression flickered. What? Officer Stevens put a hold on the collection activity. He's investigating the address change. I'm handling this myself. Mom, you can't. You don't understand how complicated. I understand that someone filed a change of address form with the IRS without my permission. I understand that 23 letters were hidden in my basement. I understand that I was locked behind a door tonight while you told a federal officer I was confused. Her face hardened. The concerned expression disappeared. You are confused. You have been for months. That's why I've had to take over. That's why I have a power of attorney. You can't even remember what bills you've paid, because you won't let me see the bills. Because you'll just worry about things I've already handled. Like $97,000 in taxes. She didn't answer. I stood up and picked up the box of letters. I'm keeping these in my room tonight. Tomorrow, I'm calling my attorney. Your attorney? She laughed. You mean Mr. Pemberton? Mom, he's been retired for 2 years. You really don't remember things, do you? But I did remember. I'd gotten a card from Mr. Pemberton last Christmas. He'd retired from his big firm, but he'd opened a small practice doing estate work. He'd written his new number on the card. I'd kept that card. It was in the lockbox in my closet, the one place Jessica hadn't fully emptied yet, because I'd told her it was just old jewelry. Good night, Jessica, I said, and I walked past her toward the stairs. She didn't try to stop me, but as I climbed to the second floor, I heard her voice behind me, quiet and cold. You're making a mistake, Mom. You need me. You can't do this alone. I kept walking. I went into my bedroom and closed the door. For the first time in months, I turned the lock. I wasn't helpless. I just needed to get out first. I didn't sleep that night. At 6 in the morning, Jessica's car started. She was gone. I had maybe 2 hours. I checked the lockbox. Mr. Pemberton's card with his new number, my deed, death certificate, social security card, the original POA, 1-page medical only. Canvas bag, downstairs. Jessica had taken the spare key, but I had my car keys. I drove to Helen Chen's next door. She answered in gardening clothes. Eleanor, are you all right? No, but I will be. Can I use your phone? T, dialing, Pemberton Law Office. This is Eleanor Patterson. I need to revoke a power of attorney immediately. Are you safe? At a neighbor's. 40 minutes. Stay there. Helen set T down. What's happening? The basement, the letters, the IRS officer. I saw her taking your mail last year, Helen said. Would you write what you saw? Dates? The IRS needs witnesses. 2 handwritten pages 10 minutes later. Dates, times, phone number. What else? A place to stay. I can't go back. Stay as long as you need. Mr. Pemberton arrived 38 minutes later. He sat at Helen's kitchen table with his briefcase and listened while I explained everything. The basement, the letters, the IRS officer, the 3 years of control. Then he opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. This is the power of attorney you signed in my office on June 12th, 2021. It's specifically limited to medical decisions. Healthcare proxy authority only. It does not grant authority over financial accounts, property, or tax matters. Jessica told the IRS officer she had power of attorney over my finances. Then she's either misrepresenting the scope of this document or operating under a different one entirely. Either way, we revoke it today. He pulled out a form. Sign here. I'll file it with the county and send copies to every medical facility and financial institution we can identify. I signed. My hand was steadier than I expected. Now, he said, we need to secure your assets immediately. Do you have account numbers? Property documents? I pulled the deed from my canvas bag. The house is in my name, solely. My husband's will left everything to me. Good. We'll file a notice with the county recorder's office that you are the sole owner and that any documents filed by third parties should be verified with you directly. What about bank accounts? She has access. I don't know how much she's taken. We'll freeze them today and open new accounts in your name only. Do you have your Social Security card? I handed it to him. He made calls, made notes, spoke in calm, decisive sentences to bank managers and county clerks. By 9:30 that morning, I had a new checking account at a different bank. By 10, my old accounts were frozen pending verification of all transactions since March 2021. By 10:15, we'd filed the POA revocation with the county clerk. Now the tax situation, Mr. Pemberton said. You need a tax attorney. Someone who specializes in IRS representation. I know someone excellent. May I call her? Please. He called from Helen's kitchen, explained the situation, the hidden letters, the address change, the $97,000 in alleged debt. Then he handed me the phone. The woman on the other end was named Patricia Hoffman. She spoke quickly, efficiently, like someone who'd seen this before. Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to request your IRS account transcripts today. That'll show us everything filed in your name, returns, payments, address changes. If someone else filed those returns or diverted your refunds, we'll see it. The address change to the P.O. box is fraud. We can file identity theft affidavits. How soon can you meet? Today. 2:00, my office. Bring every IRS letter you have. I looked at Mr. Pemberton. What about the house? Can she try to claim it somehow? Not legally, but she could make things difficult, file false liens, contest your competency. Try to initiate guardianship proceedings claiming you can't manage your affairs. We need to get ahead of that. How? Adult Protective Services. You were locked in a basement last night. An IRS officer witnessed it. That's unlawful confinement of a vulnerable adult. You need to report it officially. The thought of calling the authorities on my own daughter-in-law made my stomach turn. But then I thought about the locked door, the box of letters, the $97,000 in tax debt that shouldn't exist. How do I report it? Mr. Pemberton pulled out his phone. I have a contact at APS. They'll send someone to take your statement. With luck, they'll do it today. The APS investigator arrived at Helen's house at 11. Her name was Karen Mills. Mid-40s, kind eyes, a clipboard with official forms. She asked me to describe what happened the night before. I told her everything, the rainy evening, the basement stairs, the locked door, the hours alone with the hidden letters, the IRS officer's arrival, Jessica's explanation that it was for my safety. Did she unlock the door when you asked her to? No, only when the IRS officer demanded it. Karen wrote everything down. Has she restricted your movement at other times? She controls all the keys. She changed the locks without telling me. She takes my mail before I can see it. She screens my phone calls. She tells people I'm confused when I'm not. Do you feel safe returning to your home right now? Not while she's there. Do you have somewhere else to stay? Here, my neighbor offered. Karen made more notes. Mrs. Patterson, based on what you've described, I'm opening an investigation for financial exploitation and unlawful confinement of a vulnerable adult. I'll need to interview your daughter-in-law. I'll need to see the basement where you were locked. And I'll need documentation, the IRS letters, bank records, anything that shows a pattern of control. I pulled out Helen's witness statement. My neighbor saw her intercepting my mail multiple times. She wrote down dates. Karen read it carefully. This is helpful, very helpful. Do you have the IRS letters with you? I showed her the box. 23 envelopes, all addressed to me, all unopened until last night. She photographed each one with her phone, wrote down notice numbers and dates in her notes. I'm assigning this case priority status, she said. You'll have a case number by end of day. In the meantime, do not go back to that house alone. If you need to retrieve belongings, I can arrange a police escort. I need my documents, my financial records, my husband's papers from the office upstairs. I'll coordinate with the police department. We'll go tomorrow morning. 9 a.m., does that work? Yes. Ma'am, this isn't standard caregiving, the social worker said quietly. After she left, Helen made lunch. I couldn't eat. My hands were shaking. In 6 hours, I'd revoked a power of attorney, frozen my bank accounts, hired a tax lawyer, filed an APS report, and arranged a police escort to my own home. I'd also lost my family, my son's wife, my grandson's mother. the woman who'd moved in 3 years ago to help. At 1:45, Mr. Pemberton drove me to Patricia Hoffman's office, conference room, glass walls. She spread the IRS letters across the table, photographed each one. Systematic interception. Address change is federal mail fraud. She knew about the liability, hid it deliberately. Can I fix this? Yes, time but yes. Form 14039. Identity theft affidavit. Request transcripts. Examine every return since 2021. Challenge unauthorized filings. Trace diverted refunds. The $97,000? We fight. If you didn't authorize those returns, you're not liable. If she forged signatures, debt's hers. IRS will investigate, but months, maybe a year. I don't have a choice. You do. Walk away, bankruptcy, start over. My name on every envelope, my social security number, my address, before she changed it. This is my life, my husband's house. I'm not walking away. She smiled, grim, satisfied. Good, then let's fight. A folder, empty except one sheet with my name. Your case file, keep it safe. Not at home. Every receipt, statement, form. This is your proof. Thin now, but it would grow. That night, Helen's guest room, door unlocked. I'd left with a canvas bag. Now, revoked POA, frozen accounts, APS case number, tax attorney, witness statement. I took my tax letters, my deed, and my house keys back. The police escort arrived at 9. 2 officers. Karen Mills from APS. Mr. Pemberton? A small convoy in my driveway. Jessica's car was there. She'd been inside all night while I'd been at Helen's. Officer Torres knocked. Jessica opened wearing yoga pants and a concerned smile. Oh, hello, can I help you? Ma'am, I'm Officer Torres. This is Officer Chen. We're escorting Mrs. Patterson while she retrieves belongings. Adult Protective Services has opened an investigation. Jessica's smile didn't move. This is her home. She lives here. I don't understand why she needs a police escort. May we come in? She stepped aside. We walked into my house and it felt foreign. The photos on the mantel, the furniture, the mail basket, empty, as always. Karen Mills spoke first. Miss Patterson, I'm Karen Mills from Adult Protective Services. I need to ask you some questions about the events of 2 nights ago. Is there somewhere we can sit? Of course. Jessica gestured to the dining room, the same table where Officer Stevens had examined the IRS letters. But I don't know what this is about. Mom's been confused lately. I've been taking care of her. Mrs. Patterson reports that you locked her in the basement on the evening of April 23rd. Can you explain that? She wanted to do laundry, but the basement steps were wet from rain. I asked her to wait until they dried. It was for her safety. Did you lock the door? I may have. I was worried she'd try to come up and fall. How long was she down there? Jessica hesitated. A few hours. I was going to let her out after dinner. But you didn't let her out until an IRS officer demanded it. Is that correct? He arrived unexpectedly. I would have unlocked it anyway. Karen wrote notes. Mrs. Patterson also reports that you've been handling her mail. Is that accurate? Yes. She kept losing things, missing bills. I took over her finances to help. Did she ask you to do that? She signed a power of attorney. For medical decisions only, Mr. Pemberton said from the doorway. I have the original document. It does not grant financial authority. Jessica's expression flickered, just for a second. Then the concerned smile returned. She must have forgotten. She signed other papers too, insurance forms, banking authorizations. We'd like to see those documents, Karen said. I'd have to find them. They're somewhere upstairs. We'll wait. Jessica stood up, walked toward the stairs. Officer Torres followed her. I'll accompany you, ma'am. While they were gone, I went to my bedroom with Officer Chen. Opened the closet, the lockbox, still there. I opened it. Marriage certificate, insurance policies, old tax returns. I packed them: clothes, photo albums, the jewelry box from my 40th anniversary. Officer Chen stood in the doorway, bearing witness. Downstairs, voices rose: Jessica's, Officer Torres's calm response, Mr. Pemberton's measured tone. When I came back with my suitcase, Jessica stood in the dining room with a folder. Her face was red. "These are the documents, banking authorizations. I had her sign them when she opened her accounts." Mr. Pemberton examined each page. "Dated March 2022, nearly a year after the power of attorney. Did you explain she was giving you signature authority?" "She knew what she was signing." "Did you tell her you'd changed the locks?" "I was protecting her." "From what?" "From herself. From—" Jessica stopped, looked at me. "Mom, tell them you needed help." I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd locked me in a basement, who'd hidden 3 years of tax notices, who'd stolen my mail and changed my address and made me doubt my own memory. "No," I said quietly. "What?" "No, I didn't need that kind of help. I needed my mail. I needed my keys. I needed access to my own financial information. You didn't help me. You controlled me." "That's not—" "You hid IRS letters in a box in my basement. 23 letters. $97,000 in tax debt. You changed my address to a P.O. box I didn't know about. You intercepted my mail before I could see it. My neighbor watched you do it." Jessica's mouth opened, closed. "I was trying to protect you from stress. You don't understand how complicated?" "I understand that federal mail fraud is a felony." Patricia Hoffman's voice came from the front door. She'd arrived while we were upstairs. "I understand that filing false documents with the IRS is a felony. I understand that financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a crime in this state." She walked into the dining room and set her briefcase on the table, pulled out a folder. "These are the IRS account transcripts for Eleanor Patterson. They arrived this morning. Would you like to know what they show?" Jessica didn't answer. "They show that tax returns were filed in Eleanor's name for 2021, 2022, and 2023. Returns that reported income she didn't earn. Returns that claimed deductions she didn't take. Returns that generated refunds. Refunds that were deposited into an account Eleanor doesn't control." Patricia pulled out another document. "This is the Form 8822 that changed Eleanor's address with the IRS. Filed June 15th, 2023. The signature doesn't match Eleanor's signature on file with the IRS from previous years. Would you like to tell us who signed this form?" Jessica's face had gone white. "I don't have to answer these questions. I want a lawyer." "That's your right," Officer Torres said. "But we're going to need you to come to the station to make a formal statement. Adult Protective Services has filed charges for financial exploitation and unlawful confinement. The IRS has been notified of potential fraud, and Mrs. Patterson has the right to remove you from her property." "This is my home too. My son—" "Your son," I said, "is my son. And this is my house. My name is on the deed. Your name is not." I pulled the deed from my suitcase, the one I retrieved from the lockbox, the one that showed sole ownership, Eleanor Marie Patterson, no joint tenancy, no second name, just mine. "I want you to leave," I said. "Today." Jessica stared at me. The mask was completely gone now. No more concerned smile, no more patient voice, just anger, raw and sharp. "You can't do this. You're confused. You need me. Your son will tell you—" "My son isn't here. You are. And I'm asking you to leave my house. You'll never manage on your own. You'll lose this place. You'll end up in some state facility eating pureed food and forgetting your own name." "Maybe," I said, "but that's my choice, not yours." Karen Mills stepped forward. "Miss Patterson, you have until 5 p.m. today to remove your personal belongings from this residence. After that, any remaining items will be considered abandoned. Do you understand? Jessica grabbed her purse from the counter, looked at me one more time. This isn't over. Yes, I said. It is. She left. The front door slammed. Her car started in the driveway. I watched through the window as she backed out and drove away. The house was silent. Officer Torres cleared his throat. Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to recommend you change your locks today. We can have someone here within an hour. And I'd suggest installing a doorbell camera, just as a precaution. I will. Karen Mills handed me a business card. This is your case number. The investigation is active. We'll need to interview your daughter-in-law formally, and we'll be examining financial records from your accounts. If you remember anything else, any other incidents of control or restriction, call me. Thank you. One by one, they left. Mr. Pemberton stayed, Patricia stayed, and Helen, who'd been waiting in her car, came inside. Are you all right? Helen asked. I sat down at my dining room table, in my house. She had no receipts. I had all of them. The locksmith came at 2, changed every lock, front door, back door, basement, windows. He handed me 3 sets of keys. I gave one to Helen, kept one, put the third in the lockbox, doorbell camera installed by 4. Ring system, alerts to my phone, a new number Jessica didn't have. By 5 p.m., the house was mine again, truly mine. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like standing in ruins. My son called that night. Mom, tight, careful. Jessica told me what happened. She said you kicked her out, said you're accusing her of stealing. I sat at my kitchen table. She hid 3 years of IRS letters in our basement, changed my address without permission, locked me in the basement, and told a federal officer it was for my safety. Silence. Mom, she was trying to help. She's been managing everything because you couldn't. I could. She wouldn't let me. There's a difference. She said you're confused, that you signed papers and forgot. I signed a power of attorney for medical decisions, 1 page. Jessica used it to take my bank accounts, my mail, my keys. She filed tax returns in my name and kept the refunds. The IRS has transcripts. Longer silence. I don't understand. Why would she do that? I don't know. But Adult Protective Services is investigating. The IRS is investigating. And I have a lawyer. Mom, she's my wife, the mother of your grandson. You can't just... I did. If she tries to come back, I'll call the police. This is going to destroy our family. Your wife destroyed it when she locked me in a basement and stole my mail for 3 years. He didn't argue, didn't agree. I need to think. I need to talk to her. When you do, ask her about the P.O. box. Ask her about Form 8822. Ask her why she changed my IRS address to a box I never rented. He hung up without goodbye. I sat staring at my phone, my son, my only child. Now he had to choose. The investigation moved slowly. Karen Mills called with updates. They'd interviewed Jessica. Her lawyer advised silence. They'd subpoenaed bank records, found transfers from my account to Jessica's. $42,000 over 3 years. Small amounts, 300, 500, never enough to trigger alerts. The IRS moved slower. Patricia filed identity theft affidavit. Requested innocent spouse relief, provided signature evidence. But federal bureaucracy turned at its own pace. Months before resolution, Patricia said, maybe longer, but collection hold is in place. No levies while investigation is active. And the $97,000? If we prove identity theft, it transfers to whoever filed those returns. Based on evidence, that's Jessica. Will she go to jail? Patricia shrugged. Up to the U.S. attorney. Strong case, mail fraud, tax fraud, elder abuse. But prosecution decisions are complicated. Plea deals, inability to pay restitution. I can't promise criminal charges. But the debt won't be mine? Not if I can help it. The first month was hardest, living alone again. No footsteps upstairs, no one intercepting mail, no one telling me I was confused. Just silence, space, the slow realization I'd forgotten what freedom felt like. Helen came for coffee Tuesdays and Thursdays. We talked about her garden, book club, the grocery store, normal things, safe things. I started checking mail again, every day at 10, bills, catalogs. Junk mail I'd missed for 3 years. I opened every envelope, read every statement, filed everything myself. My new bank sent statements on the 15th. I balanced my checkbook by hand. Debits, credits, running balance. The numbers matched every time because I was the only one touching it. I hired an accountant for my actual tax returns. 2021, 2022, 2023. Real ones. Social Security, pension, interest, simple returns. You shouldn't owe anything, he said. In fact, you're due refunds. The IRS already sent refunds for fraudulent returns. Once reversed, we'll file amended returns. You'll get your money back. More waiting, more paperwork, more patience. But I had time and help. And for the first time in 3 years, I had control. 3 months after Jessica left, my son came to visit. Alone. He stood on the porch with his hands in his pockets, looking uncertain. Can I come in? I opened the door, let him into the house where he'd grown up. We sat in the living room. He looked around at the furniture, the photos, the space that was both familiar and changed. Jessica and I are separated, he said. I moved out last week. I didn't say anything. I looked at the documents, the bank statements, the IRS transcripts. I talked to her about the P.O. box. He rubbed his face. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence... Mom, I'm sorry. I should have listened when you tried to tell me things weren't right. You were trying to trust your wife. I was trying to avoid seeing what was right in front of me. He looked at me. She told me you were declining, that you needed help. I believed her because it was easier than questioning her. Are you divorcing her? I don't know yet. I need to figure out if she did this because she's sick or because she's cruel. I need to understand if she can change or if this is who she is. And your son? He's with me. Joint custody for now. I'm not letting him be around her unsupervised until I know more. I thought about my grandson, 7 years old, smart, sweet, a child caught in the middle of his parents' collapse. He can visit me, I said. When you're ready. When he's ready. My son nodded. Thank you. He left an hour later. I stood at the window and watched him drive away. And I thought about families, how they break, how they heal, how sometimes the only way forward is through loss. I sleep with my keys on my nightstand now, not from fear, from choice. 6 months after Jessica left, my life looked nothing like it had before. The IRS case closed in October. Patricia called. The fraudulent returns had been reversed. The $97,000 debt was reassigned to Jessica's Social Security number. I owed nothing. In fact, the IRS owed me 3 small refunds totaling $1,800. They're cutting you a check, Patricia said. Should arrive in 6 to 8 weeks. The check arrived in 7. Adult Protective Services closed their case too. Karen Mills sent a final report. Substantiated findings of financial exploitation and unlawful confinement. Jessica had been offered a diversion program, counseling, restitution payments, probation. She'd accepted. No jail time, but a criminal record. And a payment plan, $400 a month, for the next 8 years to repay what she'd stolen. She'll probably declare bankruptcy before year 3, Patricia said. Not your problem anymore. It wasn't. My days were mine. Coffee with Helen Tuesdays and Thursdays. Book club first Wednesday each month. Grocery shopping Friday mornings. My grandson visited every other weekend. My son brought him, stayed for lunch, left before dinner. We didn't talk about Jessica. We talked about school, soccer, science fair projects, normal things, healing things. The house was quieter, but mine. Mail came to my box. Bills sat on my counter until I paid them. Keys hung by the door, all of them, where I could see them. I woke each morning in my own bed, in my own house, with my own life ahead. That was enough. I'm 75 now. A year has passed since that rainy night in the basement. Since I found the box of letters. The house is still mine. The deed sits in my lockbox. My mail arrives every day, and I open it myself. My bank account has only my name. I learned something. You don't lose your mind when you get older, but people can make you think you have. They can take your mail and keys, then tell you you're confused when you notice. If you've ever felt like you were losing control of your own life, like someone else was making decisions for you, telling you it's for your own good, trust that feeling. You're not confused. You're not imagining things. You're not alone. Get help. Call a lawyer. Call Adult Protective Services. Keep your own records. Save your receipts. Your life is yours. Your home is yours. Your dignity is yours. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now, if you like this story, click subscribe and tell me in the comments what part left you with your mouth open. Oh, and don't forget to become a member to get access to exclusive videos I don't upload here. I'll wait for you there.